In this week's video, I'm up in Colorado's high country for 3 days to try to make some good wildlife photography. Of course, I'll make my usual Rocky Mountain National Park stops. I'll also be out for a species I've never seen in the wild before. Recently, there have been sightings of river otters. And I'll also go for a redemption on a species I have seen. And of course, something unusual always pops up. A magnificent frigate bird has been reported flying over this part of Lake Granby where I'm sitting. It was a roller coaster 3 days, so here's everything that I saw. Enjoy the video. Good morning, photographers. Oh man, it's one of my favorite places to be. Up here in the mountains at our cabin. Sun is just coming up and I am on my way into Rocky Mountain National Park. Doesn't get much better than that. On this morning, it didn't take very long to get my first sighting. My time is a little bit limited because I do need to get back home. Because I gotta work today, so I'm working remotely from up here in the mountains, and there's a moose. Stand by. I was happy to see this lone cow moose in this particular meadow because this meadow was once a hot spot, but after 2020's East Troublesome Fire, I rarely see them here anymore. While I watched her graze for a few minutes, my ears were picking up on something else that I wanted to go investigate. Interestingly, while I was photographing that moose, I think I hear some elk back a little bit further too, so I'm gonna go investigate because there happens to be a little side road right here. And my ears were not deceiving me. Check this out. This herd of about 20 elk had some young bulls in it and some spry youngsters, and they'll stay down in these lower elevation meadows because the food is plentiful and protecting the young is easy. The big bulls will stay up above tree line during these kind of hot summer months before they come back down to the valley in the fall for a rut. So, and speaking of up in elevation, that's where I'm really trying to get to this morning before I gotta go back to work. And as I climbed up in elevation, I came to another one of my favorite spots in Rocky Mountain National Park. Just as you go over Milner Pass, you come across this beautiful scene where Poudre Lake is right next to the road. And it's another hot spot for wildlife, especially early in the morning. Yep. And on this morning, it delivered like always.
That picture I got with the 2 bull elk that are chasing each other? Yeah. That was in this meadow here.
They are.
Both moose didn't seem to mind me at all, and I took some nice photos in the good morning light before I went back home and went to work. With my work obligations done, I was back out in the afternoon, and I had birds on my mind. I am heading to a little town called Hot Sulphur Springs, and I hear through the birding grapevine that there is a Lewis's woodpecker nest in that park. So hey, figure I'd go over and give it a shot, see if I can find the nest, see if we make some good photos. As I made my way to the park, despite it being late afternoon, it was still a scorcher out there, over 90 degrees. I searched this park unsuccessfully for about 45 minutes, and the only thing I found was this great view of the Colorado River. Well, no luck for me here. This place ended up being a little bit bigger than I was expecting, and I walked around all of it, but I did not see hardly any bird activity at all. It's really hot today, not ideal for trying to find birds, but I did not see any woodpecker activity around here, let alone a Lewis's. But I know of another place not far away that also has had a Lewis's woodpecker nest, so let's go try spot number 2. Just down the highway through Byers Canyon, I made my way to the small town of Parshall, and it didn't take long to find my potential Lewis's. think that's it. It's just horrible light, so you can't tell. And I'm afraid to get out because the second I open this door, it's gone. Eventually, the bird moved to a new perch, also in equally horrible light. Finally, though, patience paid off, and the woodpecker flew up to the top of this tree in some great light, where I was able to confirm that it was indeed a Lewis's woodpecker. All right, well, that was the small little town of Parshall, Colorado, and yeah, finally could confirm the Lewis's woodpecker. I was really sure that that was it when I was sitting there, when I first found it and was taking photos, but I was in such bad light that I couldn't really see those colors, which is the very distinguishable feature of the Lewis's. And but then it flew and landed on the top of that tree. Finally got the sun behind us, and I was able to see, oh yeah, that's definitely it. So awesome. I'm going to head back to the cabin. It's about 5 o'clock, and I think we'll try to come up with a plan for what we're going to do tonight. After a quick pit stop back at the cabin, I was back out again, and this time I was heading somewhere new. Willow Creek Reservoir. Well, look at this back here. And first up here is this osprey, but it wasn't just one, they were everywhere. It seemed like every platform and phone pole had an osprey on it. My most interesting encounter of the trip also involved these osprey. One was circling overhead, and I thought it was about to dive into the lake to hunt for fish, but that's not really what it was doing. It did finally lunge and make an attack, but it wasn't for fish. It was in this tree at this unsuspecting American crow. The crow held its ground, but the osprey kept circling, and every time it made another attack, it would get closer and closer. Eventually, the crow got the hint and flew away. I'm not sure if this was a territorial thing, but it was very interesting. I had never seen anything like it before. The other prominent bird at Willow Creek were these sparrows, which as I filmed I figured were chipping. But once I got home and got a closer look, I realized they were actually lark sparrow. The osprey weren't the only raptors at the reservoir either. I got a great look at this Swainson's hawk. I was interrupted filming this pronghorn when a crazy rare bird alert came in on the Colorado Birds email list. Whoa, cool transition there. Okay, so a magnificent frigate bird had been seen flying over Lake Granby, literally 5 minutes from where I was just filming that pronghorn. So I got to the spot and kept my eye to the sky. On the ground, this juvenile sage thrasher and this chipmunk kept me entertained. I was seeing some birds flying high up in the sky, which got my hopes up every now and then. Unfortunately, these birds were all what you would expect and didn't have magnificent as a prefix of their name. The frigate bird hasn't been seen at that location since. With a thermos full of coffee, I was back out early the next morning, heading out for the long shot of the entire trip. I am actually going to go for something a little bit different. So I am driving this stretch here that goes right along the Colorado River. And the reason I'm doing that is because recently there have been some sightings of river otters on this stretch of the river. And that is something I've never photographed before. I've never even seen river otters here in Colorado, so I'm going to go to a few different pullouts along this river and see, long shot, maybe see some river otters. My first stop here is along the river right before it goes through Byers Canyon. It sure was a pretty view, but unfortunately, I was all alone. No otters in sight. Actually, that's not true. I wasn't alone. I told you, these guys were everywhere. Alright, just me and the osprey here at stop number 1, so let's keep going. Stop number 2 was down this secluded dirt road where I should be able to hike to the river. It turned out, though, it was private property, and I didn't want to get trespassed to start my weekend. Stop number 3 was a little bit further down the river where otters had been reported hanging out around this bridge section. Just like my first stop, it was a pretty scene, and after watching for about 45 minutes, I turned up nothing. Yeah, no river otters this morning, but god dang, this area sure is pretty. Tell you what, yeah, really pretty over here. So, next plan, I'm going to head up to Arapahoe National Wildlife Refuge. I'm going to do the wildlife drive, which I did do last year looking for a greater sage grouse, and I found them. I'd like to see them again, so I'm going to go do that. But then we're going to head over to State Forest State Park, because they are doing something today called Moosefest. So I'm going to go check out Moosefest too. But we got about an hour drive, so let's get to it. My first stop here at Arapahoe National Wildlife Refuge was the Moose Goose Trail that goes along this boardwalk. And sadly, you can really see the effect of not getting much snow over the winter. I then made my way over to the auto loop, and finally, I saw some wildlife. Also over here, the pond levels were really low. It was barely deep enough for these guys to swim. Just finished up here at the wildlife drive, and yeah, pretty slow. I did not find the sage grouse I was hoping for. Yeah, last year was easy. They were just sitting right in the middle of the road. I just came around a corner and there they were. So yeah, I scoured pretty hard all of the sagebrush out there in that area where they're kind of known to be, and I didn't see anything. So anyways, I am going to go stop in Walden, get some gasoline. But then we're going to Moosefest. Moosefest was pretty cool. They had a bunch of tables set up here at the visitor center. So I walked around for a little bit and hung out. And then I decided to finally make my way back to the cabin, but I took the scenic route on the way home. Good evening. I am heading out tonight. I am hoping for another possible woodpecker surprise. And then, yeah, I'm just going to go in and go to my normal hot spots and just see what we find tonight. I'm sure there's gonna be some good stuff, but yeah, I am heading into the park now, so let's do it. I mentioned that woodpecker surprise. Well, my first stop is here at the Kawanichi Visitor Center. Yeah, I saw somebody recently reported the American three-toed woodpecker right around here, so I thought it'd be a pretty good stop and find. So far, not seeing anything, but we'll keep looking. Yeah, it's pretty surreal walking through all these burned down trees from the East Troublesome fire from 2020, and it is just destruction beyond as far as you can see. But if you look at the ground, regrowth has started. But of course, these burned out trees, great habitat for a woodpecker like an American three-toed. But yeah, I'm gonna walk a little bit further for giving up. But yeah, it is really surreal being back in here and all these trees to see the damage. Just, man, you can see it just goes beyond, you know, just out of even my vision. It's still just burned trees. After missing on the woodpecker, I didn't have to drive far before I found my next sighting. All right, I have found a decent-sized herd of elk. They're pretty far away, and I was just looking at them through binocs, and I'm not seeing any bulls. So I'm debating if I want to walk out there and try to get some footage, or if I want to go down to a different spot. I might go just eyeball it here real quick, so yeah, let's go take a look. Okay, I mean, it's a decent-sized herd, but it's not really photographic. I'm losing light, and there's no bulls. It's just cows and young fawns, which is cute, don't get me wrong. But they're just back in a tricky area where it's just not good for photos. And there's another spot I want to get to, and we're losing light quicker than I was expecting. So I want to make sure I can get up there. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. All right, I am heading up in elevation to my last spot. I'm putting my entire bankroll on Poudre Lake up at the top here to hopefully have some moose, or again, I would love to see some bull elk up here. And I know they stay up in the higher elevations here during the summer, so I'm hoping if I go up, they'll be there. We'll see. I see a bunch of cars parked down there. That's a good sign. Yeah, well, I wanted some bull elk. I think that's what we may have. I filmed this bull elk with the last 30 minutes of light I had. I was hoping that maybe he would go over to the lake to get a drink, but he never did. But still, it was an awesome way to end the night, finally getting that nice bull and getting some good photos. All right, well, there you go. I wanted a bull elk. Got a bull elk. I thought there were two back there, but then once he came out from behind the tree, there was just one. Very cool. And again, I'm glad I made the decision to get up here while there was still decent light. So after having a pretty much busted day today, it was really nice to be able to get a bull elk. That's kind of what I wanted. So end the trip here on a good note. So with that, I am heading back to the cabin to sleep, and then I'm heading back to Denver. So thank you for watching this video, this adventure. You know, it just goes to show one great day and then can follow up with kind of a dud. You just never know. But anyways, thanks for watching this video. See you next time. Bye-bye.